Hi, my name is Tom Hills from Laudio. Hello and welcome to our three-part webcast, Reclaiming the Fine Art of Listening Well in Healthcare. Leading conversation and with me today is Dr. Cynthia Clark. Cindy has been a nurse for more than 35 years, and she's the Strategic Nursing Advisor for ATI Nursing Education and a contributor to Laudio's Frontline community. Cindy is Professor Emeritus, founder of Civility Matters, the author of Creating and Sustaining Civility in Nursing Education, and is an international expert in fostering civility and healthy work environments. So Cindy, we're so glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Our first question today is, as a leader, how does listening well help build emotional resilience in employees?
Yeah, thank you, Tom. And I just want to say first, it's such a privilege to be back with you for a Laudio fireside chat. And today we get to talk about the importance of listening well. So your question about listening well and its relationship to emotional resilience really is not only thought-provoking, but I think it's very timely as we all can, continue to work through and deal with so many stressors that we still face relative to the pandemic and social and political issues. So I think it's a very timely topic. I'd like to start by defining resilience. So generally, resilience is considered the capacity to successfully meet life's various challenges, to adapt well, if you will, when we're faced with stress, our ability to bounce back from demanding situations. And it's also our ability to effectively cope. And when we do that, it really sort of heightens our ability to be able to cope successfully in future situations. So it's really a beautiful, though complex topic. And when we talk about effective leadership, one of the areas that we're talking about today is the ability to listen well. And what I think that means is listen with intent to learn and to understand. And also part of listening well is creating that safe space or a safe container for all of us, our colleagues, our teammates, all of us, to be able to engage in a meaningful conversation and to be able to really think out loud without any kind of recourse for doing that. And the more we listen well, the better we can function in uncertain situations.
So what skills might we hone to help us listen well?
Yeah, that's a great question too. So obviously, we probably all know that listening is one of the most basic and essential skills for communication, but it's typically one of the most difficult and challenging to master. So if you could go to the first slide, because I would love to share a quote by Margaret Wheatley. Margaret Wheatley is a scholar in organizational leadership, and she said this about listening, and I just love it. So listening is such a simple act. It requires us to be present. It takes practice, but we don't have to do anything else. We don't have to advise. We don't have to coach. We don't have to sound wise. We just have to be willing to sit and listen. So I believe that truly listening and really paying attention is really valuing what another person has to say. And I think it's one of the most exquisite gifts that we can both give and receive. So you can drop that slide, because I'd like to talk just a few minutes about what it means to listen well. What are some of those techniques? So first of all, listening does not come naturally necessarily. So it's going to take some practice. It's going to take time. It's going to take patience. And so when it's time to listen, we need to stop what we're doing. Set aside our devices, relax into a space, and maybe even say to that person, I'm listening. I mean, that in and of itself is a very respectful way to set that tone. So I'm listening. And then we give our full attention and we pay attention to the speaker's words, their body language, their voice tone. And it's very important that we avoid interrupting. And if you'll put up the next slide, please, I want to share another quote. This one from Stephen Covey, who I'm sure most everybody knows, but I love what he said, that most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. So you can take that down, and I'll elaborate on that for just a moment, because I think what Dr. Covey is suggesting to us is that we can't simultaneously rehearse what we're going to say in response if we're truly listening. So one technique is to avoid if you have that temptation to reply, when we engage in a conversation, imagine that whatever is being expressed in that conversation, you're going to be tested on, asked about later, and whether or not you're going to be able to remember what was said. And just a few others that I might suggest. We need to keep an open mind. And whether we agree or disagree with what the person is saying, let's remember a couple of things. Whatever that other individual is saying, it is their truth and it is their reality. And so to listen well means that we suspend our judgment about that and try to really connect to understand their point of view. Now, does this mean we blindly agree? No, but it means instead that we're really listening intentionally to try to understand and to make sense of where that person's coming from. And then it's very important to clarify. So another skill is listening to what's being said, but what's not being said, or maybe only partially stated, and ask or express some clarifying comments like, can you tell me more about that? Or, it sounds like you're feeling, or it sounds like you're thinking, or I'm sensing some concern about, can you elaborate? Let me know if I've heard you correctly, and then we summarize the conversation. Those are all very respectful ways. And I'll close this segment by another technique that I just love, and it comes from radio host Celeste Headley. So maybe some of our viewers are familiar with Celeste Headley, but she says that one of the most effective conversation techniques is to enter into that conversation preparing to be amazed, prepare to be amazed, prepare to be enlightened. So let's be curious, let's be inquisitive, let's enter a conversation maybe discovering something new or seeing things differently, because I think that is a gift that keeps on giving. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Cindy. This next segment that we'll be doing for segment 2 will be about the importance of co-creating team norms. So be on the lookout for the next session that we'll be able to distribute to you later. Thanks again, Cindy, for your time today.